What if I told you that the Ferrari SF-26, the car that everyone thought was dead, has just made its critics look ridiculous thanks to Lewis Hamilton? Are we really about to see the resurgence of Ferrari with the most successful driver in history at the wheel? Subscribe to continue uploading more of this type of content now, if we continue. What happened in Barcelona weeks later was not just a good test. It was a complete break with that defeatist narrative. It was, in essence, a silent warning. Ferrari was not finished. He was just quiet. And Lewis Hamilton, far from having made a mistake, had just gotten into the car that could mark the most unexpected and powerful resurgence in recent times in Formula One. The circuit of Barcelona, Catalunya, known for being a relentless test for Formula One cars due to its combination of fast corners, intense braking, and elevation changes, was the setting where a new chapter began to be written for Ferrari. And it was not a simple preseason anecdote, but a true turning point. What happened there not only defied the expectations of the paddock, he completely dismantled them. During 5 days of testing, the SF-26, Maranello's new weapon for the 2026 season, exhibited a level of performance, reliability, and technical coherence that left the most skeptics without arguments. Lewis Hamilton, with the serenity of someone who has seen everything in the premier class, was the first to set off alarm bells in the rest of the teams. His time of 1 minute and 16.348 seconds on the final day was not only the fastest of the week, but he achieved it by executing an extremely controlled final run, without seeking headlines or using the softest compounds or the most optimal track conditions. That lap was the product of a meticulous technical program, focused on data collection and progressive adaptation to the car, which gives even more weight to the result. It was not a loose turn, but rather the reflection of a balanced, reliable, and fast mechanical platform. Beyond the time, what was truly revealing was the accumulated mileage. Ferrari completed 432 laps, which is equivalent to more than 4,500 kilometers without a single notable reliability failure. Only Mercedes achieved a greater number of laps. In an era where hybrid systems are extremely sensitive and cars are at constant risk of electronic or thermal failure, this volume of run-in was interpreted by engineers as a clear sign that the SF26 power unit, as well as the new active hybrid systems, are working in full harmony. The internal dynamics of the car was another key point of analysis. Hamilton described the SF-26 as a nervous but controllable car, a phrase that may seem contradictory, but actually encapsulates the great conceptual leap that this car implies. Is a car with less downforce in absolute terms, but with a wider operating window. The driver can make a mistake and recover it without losing the car, something almost impossible with previous ground effect cars. According to Hamilton, this change is so radical that he classified it as the biggest transformation I have experienced in 19 years of Formula One. On a technical level, one of the aspects that most surprised the engineers was the correlation between the simulator and reality on the track. In previous seasons, Ferrari had suffered with this issue, with data that did not translate into actual car behavior, making development difficult. This time, however, Hamilton's telemetry showed a near-perfect alignment between wind tunnel predictions and on-track results. This not only validates the concept of the SF-26, but allows for a more aggressive projection of development for the remainder of the year. The team can trust their virtual tools, and that changes everything that it wasn't just Hamilton who shone. Charles Leclerc, although somewhat less spectacular on the stopwatch, was also impressed by the car's performance. During the testing days, he openly admitted that the SF-26 exceeded his expectations, especially in terms of traction and slow cornering stability. However, the difference in pace between both drivers was clear. Hamilton was consistently faster in long runs and qualifying simulations, showing that he was not only comfortable, but had understood the car at an astonishing speed. For engineers, this difference was key to understanding the car's yet-to-be-unlocked potential, and made it clear that the SF-26 has room for further improvement if properly adapted to different driving styles. Even Fred Vasseur, traditionally cautious in his statements, allowed himself a certain optimism. He acknowledged that although the goal in Barcelona was not to show absolute speed, the fact that the car ran smoothly and delivered clean data was an unequivocal sign that the project is on the right track. Vasseur stressed that there is still a long way to go and that the true conclusions will come in Bahrain. But no one could hide the smile that was beginning to emerge in Maranello. Something big is starting to take shape. And the most shocking thing is that very few saw it coming. Barcelona was not a simple test. It was the silent beginning of a campaign that could redefine the pecking order of Formula One. And if anything was clear during that week in February, it was that Lewis Hamilton did not arrive at Ferrari to retire. He came to give him back his winning soul. When the last day of testing in Barcelona ended, Ferrari was no longer talked about as an unknown. There was talk of a threat. The team had gone from a wounded organization to a structure that, for the first time in years, seems to know exactly where it is going. But the most significant thing is not what Ferrari did on the Catalan track, but what is to come. What is now glimpsed is a 2026 season with a completely new narrative, where the protagonist is not only the SF26 car, but also the man who brought it to life, Lewis Hamilton. The Briton's impact on Maranello has been deeper than many anticipated. Beyond the marketing, beyond the media noise, Hamilton has completely modified the team's technical and mental approach. For years, Ferrari has been a well-resourced but directionless team. With Hamilton, a new discipline has arrived, a process, a system. In testing, his method was surgical. Multiple runs of varying lengths, combinations of hard and medium compounds, constant adjustments in the garage, structured feedback to the engineers. Nothing was left to chance. And that, according to team members consulted by the paddock press, has raised the level of internal demand in each technical area of the project. But what is to come is not simply an improvement. It is a strategic transformation. Fred Vasseur made it clear, Ferrari's focus is not based on winning the first race. The goal is not the initial image. It is the development curve. Barcelona was just the first phase. What really matters, according to the Frenchman, is the ability to adapt, evolve, and climb throughout the championship. That is why the team brought a more conservative A specification to the initial test, without major updates, and has reserved the true evolution for Bahrain. There, in the desert conditions of the Sakir circuit, Ferrari will show its most ambitious cards for the first time. If in Barcelona, they already made more than one nervous with their base version, what they can do in the Middle East with an optimized B specification could alter the competitive balance of the entire grid, and here the Hamilton factor comes in again. Throughout his career, he has shown that he does not need to have the best car to be a protagonist. But if given a competitive platform, such as this SF26, it becomes lethal. His experience, his ability to manage tires, his race reading, his work with the simulation prior to the Grand Prix, all of this is beginning to converge with a car that responds to him for the first time since 2018. That synergy, that exact point between talent and machine, is what makes the world of Formula One begin to look at Ferrari with a mixture of respect and concern. The internal dynamics of the team are also changing. Charles Leclerc, who for the last few years had been the center of the project, now faces a new reality. He is no longer the sole pilot. Although he retains a crucial role, direct comparisons with Hamilton have put him in an awkward position. In testing, Leclerc was surprised by the Briton's ability to achieve faster times without compromising the integrity of the car. There is talk of a half-second difference in race simulations under similar conditions, something that cannot be explained solely by driving style. There is a deeper reading. Hamilton has understood before anyone else how to get the most out of this new car philosophy, and that changes the balance of power within the box. The 2026 championship will not be a 100-meter race. It will be a development marathon of adaptability, and Ferrari seems to have finally understood it. The key is no longer in the promises. It is in the work system, in the precision of its tools, in the solidity of its planning. Barcelona was just the prologue. In Bahrain, it will be known if the Scuderia can maintain that pace when the pressure begins to escalate. And then Australia will arrive, where the car will be put to the test in real racing conditions against rivals who will not be standing still. But there is something else. Something intangible which goes beyond times, technical analyses, and statements. There is a different energy around Ferrari, a feeling that this could be the start of something authentic. Because when Lewis Hamilton got out of the car after his last stint in Barcelona, he didn't do it with a gesture of professional compliance. He did it with a contained smile, with the look of someone who has seen what is coming and knows that the rest of the world is not yet ready for it. It's not just that Hamilton was the fastest in the tests, nor is it just that the SF26 has shown reliability, consistency, and a solid foundation. The change is deeper, is an alteration of discourse, a reconfiguration of respect. Because now, even the most skeptical analysts have to accept a possibility that until a few weeks ago seemed unthinkable. Ferrari can win again. And not just loose races. He can compete for a championship again. Really, with arguments, with structure, with a plan. subscribe to continue uploading more of that content. Now you really think about all this.